Okay, update on precious metals here. So we'll look at gold, silver, and the miners. We'll look at GDX and maybe like a SILJ or something. So we'll start with silver, and so I think it's because of I guess gold is probably more affected by the war news, but just in general, it's more important than ever to focus pretty religiously on price action now, right? Like because we're having this sort of swirl from the news. And so if we start on the daily chart, we know we're in a new daily cycle. I'll add the 10-day moving average here. That's this line. And so today is day 8 of the daily cycle. That's fairly clear, right? The 10-day moving average is curled up. That was our DCL here. And so we are now on day 8. And I've been saying if this is going to be a bearish cycle that's left translated, we're going to have an early high. And if you look at other cycles, like this one had a high on day 11 as an example, right? So we had our low here. We kind of grinded up and then we made a lower high and then we just like cascaded lower. Uh, so there are other examples. I'm just looking. Yeah, it looks like day 11, day 13, day 15. So day 9 or day 8 rather would be incredibly early for a daily cycle high. Yet at the same time, I mean, if you just look at the sheer size of this candle, this is very ominous, right? Like you're almost taking out this whole big 2-day move here. Um, so we'll have to watch. I mean, the key here is going to be watching where this closes, because technically we already have a swing high because we made a new high and now we've made a new low, and so it'll just be a question of how do we close today and where do we open tomorrow. At this rate, it's looking like somewhere around here. Yet it's super early. It's only 9 a.m. So we could easily end the day with like a long lower wick. That's what we would. That's what you would hope for as a bull. That this cycle didn't top out on day 8, because that would mean we're gonna go on to decline and most likely make a new low below this low and probably below this one here. For another 15, 10 days. And if you look at the weekly chart, it's also pretty ominous. I've been saying this for a few months now at this point. This weekly cycle high, this swing high here. So we made a slight high on this week, and then we went red. We didn't close below this low for the previous week, but then we did the next week. We kind of finished the job. That was your weekly cycle high. And when you have a weekly cycle high on week 7, that sets you up for a lot of downside very quickly. And so I'd say the good news is we're actually on week 20 already, and these cycles tend to be 25 to 26 weeks, 25 to 27 weeks, I'd say. So you're at least you're closer to the low than you are you're not even you're certainly past the middle of the cycle. And just looking at this week, it's very clear to me that we're trying to print a bearish outside week. So that would be a low below 2250 essentially, right? Like you can see, we poked up, and now we're trying to come right back through this range. And considering it's only Tuesday, there's plenty of time to make that new low. So now might be a good time to look into puts for silver specifically. And then I'll look at GDX hasn't opened yet, so we'll focus on gold for now. And so gold actually made a new high on the intermediate time frame, slight new high above this one here. So that's really interesting. But now we have a potentially bearish candle. We'll have to see how we close out this week, obviously, and then see if there's follow through next week that drops us down into an ICL. But gold is definitely a bit of a wild card here. Similar action from gold to silver on the daily cycle level, except for gold, it's day 12 already. So we have a bearish outside bar, so we made a new high, and now we've also made a new low below yesterday's low. But it's a higher high above the last cycle high, so that's bullish. Like that's a higher high. Now we need to see it hold a higher low. If we could somehow avoid going below this low, That would be the most bullish scenario, like within reason, that you could hope for, which is 1845, let's call it. So we'll have to see if we can kind of hold that approximate level. And we'll look at GDX really quickly before market open. Um, so surprisingly bullish action, new high on day 11, given the price action from gold and what we're seeing pre-market, it's indicated to open around 32 bucks. So the open would give us a swing high on the daily. Like, just to be clear, right? 32 would be somewhere around here, right? Like that would be our indicated open. So that would be a swing high below this high. We did so you could argue that this is a double top right here. So again, levels are important. This huge bar. Are we going to wipe out all this progress? That would be below 3077. So we'll have to really watch for these levels. But right now, it's all leaning very bearish.